Okay, so today we're going to have a review session for exam 1. We're covering all the content up through before Rivers guest lecture, so if else is not going to be on there. So it's going to go, can someone turn off? It's going to go all the way from like the first part of class to like summarizing and grouping. So if everything that you did for exercise for homework. I finished grading 2 and 4. I sent everyone a message. Did you guys get a chance to look at your assignments? Okay, so there were some common themes I noticed. So we're going to go over those on the homeworks. And then, of course, you can interrupt with any questions you may have. So the goal for today is just kind of like go over concepts. It's a review. Excuse me. Okay, so you guys generally did pretty well in all the homeworks. There wasn't any big areas of concern. The things that I'm going to point out are like kind of nuanced, and one of them was because I didn't know how to word a question properly. I wanted one thing and I got another. Okay, so let's talk about this. So when we're exporting files, one thing I noticed particularly when we were doing tab delimited, there seems to be some confusion about the notation for the separator argument. So let's go ahead and we're going to load in a file, and then we're going to export as a tab delimited here. So let's see here. I'm going to go find it. We'll go read CSV, and my path is going to be somewhere in our practice files. I'm getting over a head cold. This is why I'm coughing. Okay. Oh yeah, this was a big one. Probably not the best example. It's taking so long. Stopping it. All right. This is a larger CSV file, so I'm going to load up data table and use my fread function. Okay. All right, so we're going to export this as a tab delimited file. So the function for that is write table, and our object we're going to save out is D, and then the new file name we'll just say practice file 1, and you have to remember to include the file extension here. You just can't write the file name is inclusive of the file extension. So it's this part, and you have to write, you want it to be, it's going to be a text file. And the separator, I saw a lot of folks just defaulting to a comma, or I think what happened is they were doing this. They were trying to like put a space here, which is definitely what a tab looks like if you're in Word, but that is not the notation for a tab in R. What's the notation for a tab in R? Yeah, yes. So this is taking a hot minute. The other thing is I would load up some files that you guys exported and like the separators weren't quite correct. So that's telling me that y'all are not checking, because if you checked it, you would have seen that it wasn't right. So this is a little bit of a broken record. Come on, little computer. You can do it. Check it, check it, check it. So this is too early. Need more coffee. Oh my. Really? Shall be patient. All right, I'm gonna stop it. All right. So how do we check to make sure that the file output the way that we want to? Just open it up, right? Yeah, you can, open it up with like a text editor. I use TextPad. I think I put the link there. Uh, Macs have their own text editing program. The default for Windows is Notepad. Okay, so everything is spaced out correctly. So in the files that I was saying that weren't quite right, instead of having a space here, it would say like \T, and because maybe the backslash was like oriented the wrong direction, and so it just didn't. It wasn't looking right. So always check your work. Yes. All right. All right. So some notes here. Make sure you include the file extension in the name. When writing out a tab delimited file, be sure to use the tab notation. There was some things I couldn't get to run for like read Excel, but I'm pretty convinced that that was on my end. So does anyone have any trouble, because they're just a little bit more complicated than just like reading CSV or loading our data, with working with Excel files? Okay. All right. I'm assuming you guys are good. All right. The other thing I wanted to tackle was actually from exercise 4, focused on selection criteria. So let's work on that now. Again, this, as I said before, this was a question that I did not word properly. So I will be more specific in the exam. All right. So selecting using multiple conditions. All right, so let's go ahead and load up Little Fish. This is going to be an exercises. Hello. I don't want that. I don't want little fish. Okay. All right, so there was some confusion a little bit about when we load in our data file about the object name assignment. So some of you were like, oh, it's called little fish, but it's only showing up like as F in my environment, or you would reassign F to be little fish. And that's fine. It's just a lot more to type. Our data files just come with an object name assigned to them. You certainly can change it if you want. But if you ever get confused, the file may be named something, but the object name is part of that data set right here. So little fish has the object name F. All our data files will come with an object name assigned. Yes. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Because you have to save it with an object name. So to complete the circle. There a second. All right, so I want us to, we're gonna select all the rows. Really wants me to have a hashtag. Subset the data set. It's gonna call, it's actually data frame F. So that the new object has only patch parcel type and parcel IDs less than 10. Okay. So how would I go about doing this, guys? I'll wrap this around. All right, the first thing is we're going to assign it. We're going to assign these subset to a new object. We'll just call this S for grins and giggles. And all right, so I'm going to be working with my data frame F, right? So I got to tell R what I'm working with. You guys use a couple different ways to subset. That's totally cool. What is one way I can do this? Brackets, okay. So I need to now tell R that we're going to be subsetting by specific column, right? So what's the notation to denote a specific column? Yeah, $sign. Good job. All right, so my criteria is a text string, so it's going to go in quotations. There's two conditions here. So how do I add the second condition? Say that one more time, a little louder. Well, that's part of it. You're getting close, but we need to link these two. What is the what is the notation for the word and in R? That is or. The straight line is or. Yes, the ampersand. All right, and then yes, it is less than 10. So we want to check our work. We know that we should only have the patch parcel type, and the range of values of our parcel IDs should be 1 to 9. Spelling is important. Okay, that worked. And then I'm going to do summary. And it's 1 to 9. You also could have done this, but this doesn't work particularly well if you have, if we had, like, for example, you're doing like less than 1,000, right? Then you would get, 1,000 different, a vector with 1,000, length of 1,000. So it's a numeric column. You can use the summary function. Okay. All right, let's step up our game a second here and select the rows where the parcel type is hatch or zeros, and the and parcel length is less than or equal to the mean of parcel length. Okay, you guys are going to work on this, and I'm going to walk around to see how you're doing, and then we will do it together to make sure everyone's on the same page. Yes, yeah, I'm really flexible about exam structure, so you just can't talk to each other. You know, can't memorizing our stuff. It's kind of silly because, to be honest, when you're coding, you're gonna have stuff that will open and things like that. It's more about learning problem solving skills, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's try this out. Everyone seems to be doing okay. So what's my first move here? Yeah, assign new object. Thank you. Qualify. Let me ask this instead. Who here is using a different approach than the brackets? Anyone doing a different approach? You? Are you on the Zoom, Simon?
No, I can find it.
Oh, it's the same link.
I don't have, I can find it on.
What? Oh, okay. All right. Well, that is not important right now. I was going to ask you to show us what approach you were doing. Would you feel comfortable coming up here and typing it out on this computer?
Yeah.
That's fair. After I just told you you didn't have to memorize anything. Yeah.
Okay. I like to use dplyr functions. So it builds off the pipe things that we've seen a little bit of. So what did you call your initial data set?
It's F.
Okay. So then you go F. Oof. Sorry, I'm hesitating because this is a PC as opposed to a Mac, so controls all the way on the other end. So the convenient part is that I can just like take our object and then start putting arguments into it with pipe.
You're probably going to load tidyverse or type dplyr, but I haven't loaded that.
Oh, okay. Oop, I'm pressing Alt. Ah,
It's okay. Just take your time.
there it is. Okay. And then I like to use this really convenient function. I think River showed it to us. It's called filter. And then, so we have parcel type as our column, and then in there we want patch or zeros. I guess I get a little fancy with it. So I tell R, I say parcel type, and then you remember this operator. So what happens is I can simultaneously select more than one thing within that column by using a C sandwich. And then it would be patch.
It's like that operator means like look in.
Yeah, so it's like instead of like using the pipe and like reiterating two arguments, I can combine two arguments by using this. So saying like in parcel type, look for these two things. Oops, that's not how you spell zeros. So that takes care of that part. And then this is where we can use the things that we've been seeing. So our ampersand for a second condition. And then we want parcel length dot m to be less than or equal. Is it like this or is it?
We'll figure it out. It's going to tell us if it's upsetting.
It's one or the other. I forget the
Yeah,
orientation,
50-50 chance.
but it'll be one of these two. If it doesn't run, I'll figure it out. And then the mean of parcel. So I like to do it just as like explicit as possible and not write a number in there. So you just use a function mean and then tell R to calculate the mean of parcel length. And then did it run?
I think so. If you type Y, that should be the new object. Click your stuff.
There.
Yeah.
So it ran.
So check your work, Simon.
So simple ways to check my work using the unique function. So what did I ask? I asked for parcel type. Oh wait, I have to tell it this is space R stuff. It doesn't recognize my columns. F is the data frame. So I'm saying, show me the unique values of parcel type in F.
So are you calling the original data frame or the data
Whoops.
frame that you made?
Yep, you're right. I need to put Y there. I'm just gonna put a comment stop here so that it doesn't run to the bottom of the page. And it shows me I have patches and zeros in there. So good, step one. And then for the second one, you do the same sort of thing, unique. And then, so in Y, in the column, parcel length, I could basically do the opposite of what I did, right? So greater than, not equal, but greater than the mean of parcel. Oh wait, base R stuff. Y $sign parcel length. And then basically what I'm looking for here is a false statement, right? So I don't want any of the values to be that. Oh, so one of them is greater.
Well, all right.
Something went wrong.
Yeah, you have two logical statements there, right?
Yeah.
So that means there was two conditions. So I don't think unique is the right approach right here. I see where you're going with this. Maybe consider just taking away the unique part, right? Because
Okay. Yeah, we
and
could-
then you're gonna have to get rid of the extra thing, and you should get an empty character. Yeah, see, it's all false.
So there's three truths at the,
There's three truths.
there are some truths in
There
here.
are some truths in there.
Huh.
Well, remember you asked it to be greater, less than, or equal to.
Yeah.
So did maybe the equal sign.
Maybe I did it backwards.
So, all right. So if there are parcel lengths greater than the mean, let's pull those out from Y.
So like which ones they would be?
Yeah, let's go find these true observations. Let's see what they look like.
How would I do that?
This is just another subsetting problem. So instead of finding the less than, you're essentially, so like you're gonna assign this, Simon,
Yep.
to a new object, and that's gonna give you the actual data
Oh, okay.
instead of logic. You could use the bracket notation. You know, it's like a subsetting problem.
Okay. Oh man, the bracket notation. So what is that? Like Y bracket
Uh-huh.
and then
Uh-huh.
oops. Like this, right?
Yep. And then you're gonna need a comma after, you know, because it's you're asking for all the rows and all
Oh yeah.
only those specific rows and all the columns. There
And
you go.
then
Got it.
we'll
Yep.
go with Z.
All right.
So let me just get rid of this random Y. Okay. So now what, should we take a look at Z?
Sure, yeah. So we do summary, right?
Okay.
Because it's probably got a lot of stuff in there. All right. So our question is, what's the mean? I don't know the offhand the mean of Y parcel length, right? But we know everything in Y should be less than equal to that. So let's go find out what that mean is to help ourselves out here real
So
quick.
it says 100 here. And then our actual mean.
Parcel length is greater than mean. The mean G parcel length, rather than putting F parcel length, because we. My God, which, oh my. Okay, let me look at that. I'm not sure if we're just talking about you about this, or is that what?
Oops.
Or was supposed to be a false one? So we're asking for the mean. We want 9.6 parcel lengths, all of, yeah, for all of, yeah, we want all those values to be less than. Yeah. we just check that, yes.
Oh,
Oh,
you're right. I did the wrong one here. I see.
Swap the,
So I should have done F
yeah,
$sign.
thank you, very good catch.
That's,
Give her a round of applause.
thank you. F, that's what it is. Of course, I'm comparing it to the mean that I just thought.
Right, yeah.
There we go.
So
Oh.
we just went through a classic cycle of, oh, I coded something. Oh, it worked. Wait, why did it work? Wait, that's not right. What's happening? Oh,
Okay.
that's what happened. Get familiar with that cycle of emotions.
It's constant. The most time-consuming part of coding is troubleshooting.
You're gonna learn the
There we go.
drill at some point, writing a script and then having it work right off the first bat. And you'll want to get a cocktail, you're like, oh man,
There work.
okay, good job. Thanks. Okay. So that is a wonderful and very succinct way to answer this question. I appreciate it. You do not have to be that fancy. There are other ways to do this. So we'll show a more simplistic approach, but both of these are equally valid. So. So the approach above is efficient and concise. But there is a more simplistic, but yet verbose. I would be thrilled if you guys all were doing like piping and filtering and things like that. But for many of you, you're not there yet, and that's okay. So I'm just showing you the other way. All right. The reason I do brackets so much, mostly is because I get mad that like something's not loaded or whatever. I don't know. I'm an old dog, and he's like, you're gonna find whatever subsetting method makes you happy. For this assignment, it's clearly like he's like dplyr is the way to roll, you know. So like this is my go-to thing. So anyway, because it's base R, so I don't have to load anything to subset anything. But there's nothing wrong with using other functions. Okay, so parcel type. Now, this is where the other operator comes in. We want it to return patch and zeros. So this is where it gets confusing. The thing you actually want to use is the or, right? So the condition to be met can be patch, or it can be zeros. And this is where our vertical bar comes in, and we have to repeat the column name that we're dealing with. And now I'm adding, so I'm going to break this down actually. Okay, so we're going to do this part first. When I first started coding, I would do it in piecemeal. So we'll do it by piecemeal. All right, so I have a new object called Z, and I'm going to double check my work. I have patch zeros, and I'm going to then subset the Z object for my second condition. Let me change this to Q, something a little bit different. And it's less than or equal to the mean of the parcel length. Okay. Some of you in the homework, y'all would find this number ahead of time. and then you would put it, you would hard code it. Let me show you this. So some folks were doing this instead. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so here you are hard, it's called hard, I call it hard coding the value of mean parcel length. So each, why are you mad at me? See what it says. Unexpected closing. Oh, that's why. Okay, so both of these on 42 and 45 on 46 are gonna give the same answers. But let me caution you about doing this way on line 46. You really want to be able to have your code run without you having to go back and make a lot of changes, right? I want you to imagine for yourself that like an R script is like an essay you're writing, right? And you want to be able to adapt your essay. Let me try this again. Okay. You've been given a task that you need to send out 100 letters to 100 different people, right? And you could individually write every one person's name, but you have to go back to 100 letters and change the name, right? That takes a long time and you could get mistakes. So a better way is to basically let it kind of be flexible, right? And you have like a lookup table. So if we hard code this in like a script and it's a long script and you need to make changes, you're gonna have to go find that number and change it every time, right? Because it could, the mean could change if you subset by a different set of criteria and things like that. So I really advise against hard coding and just using the functions here that allows it to change if it needs to. Does that make sense? Okay. A note here about that. So for the exam, both of these are valid, as is Simon's method, because you're answering the question. But just for best practices, avoid the number if you can. Okay, let me name these things so that we have some idea what we're talking about. All right, I'm going to call this method C. We'll call this one B. And the first one A. Okay. All right. So the last thing I noticed from the homework, sorry, let me pause here. How do people feel about these selecting by different conditions? Okay. All right. So the last thing I noticed in the homework was some confusion about the group by and summarize functions. So we'll do that a little bit now. Okay. We'll still use our little fish data set, no need to load anything in. Okay, so this is right from the homework. Find the mean value for parcel density for all 4 parcel types. So there were a few different approaches I saw. One I saw was when I asked this question, and I will try to be more explicit, but when I ask this kind of question, I want you guys to be using group by. I don't want you to be writing out, like subsetting each parcel type and then finding the mean. That's not the goal, even though it is technically correct. So I will try to be very explicit in my question that that's what I want you to do, is to use the group by and summarize functions. So you can subset for each parcel type and then find the mean. So that would look like this. It's parcel density. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why that's wrong. And then you would rinse and repeat this. Undefined column selected. Why are you mad? Oh, that's why. See? That's why we need column. All right. But doing this, you write in a lot of text, right? We really want to avoid that. We want to make our lives easy. We want to automate our lives. We want to have time to go get burritos. That's why we're here. Lots of typing. Sad times. Okay, so let's use our group by and summarize functions to kind of make this task a little easier. What's the setup for this? All right, let's just focus on group by for a second here. My input data is going to be P, and I'm grouping by parcel type. Okay. So if I want to check my work, I should have a tibble now, which I do. And then at the very top, I've highlighted it here, it says how it's grouped. It's grouped by parcel type. So now that I've grouped things, I can summarize them. My input data is going to be PG. And now I'm going to tell it how I want to summarize. Mean. And I'm going to name my column parcel density. So now this is, I'm finding the mean of parcel density. And then I check my work. Okay. Did I goof this up? That's why. All right. So I only had, hang on, let me a second. Bring this up again. All right. Good teachable moment, even though it's a cliche. Why do I only have one parcel type shown in my little grouping? Where did I go wrong? What's that? Yeah, where did I use P wrong? Say the line number. Yeah, this needs to be an F. There we go. It's more correct. Okay. We can use piping to connect what we did in line 63 and line 64. So our input is F. We pipe it to group by parcel type. Okay. So if I compare the two outputs, they should be identical. And they are. Let me get this. There we go. Same thing. All right. Now, when we're using our group by, we can't group. You can't group by numeric columns. So let's see. Here's a note. So because let's think about it. It wouldn't make sense. I'm going to bring up the first few rows of our F data set here. Like each one of these is like kind of unique, right? There's not a category assigned to them. So it doesn't really make any sense to group by them because it's not a category. Really, we're going to be using group by if it's like almost like if it's a factor, like if you wanted to group by different treatment levels, or in this case, we just have fish here. But if we have the bigger data set, there's like 30 other taxa, we can group by different taxa, and things like that. So just be mindful that like, don't really try not to use, do not use group by for like numeric values. The exception that can be confusing is something like this, which is parcel ID. This is a number, but it's not a number that like has a value like length or density, right? It's just an identifier. So it's completely possible that you could have, in this case it shows it, you could have multiple number ones. You could group by parcel ID. So you just have to be a little bit more, be thoughtful about what that grouping means. I'm gonna say numeric columns, holding measurement data. Maybe that's a bit about that. This in the right place. Okay, so that was a big thing that I wanted to tackle from the homework that I saw. I'm going to turn you guys over to you to talk about what things you guys want to practice. Any areas of concern? Do you have any questions about the exam? All right, let's tackle the questions about the exam. So I'm gonna have you aim to like, it should take only like a couple hours, like a class time. It is take home. You're gonna have at least a couple days to do it. Yeah. You want, can you help me out? What line are we on? All right. Let me know when to stop. Here?
There's a question like that. Are we supposed to be getting the mean of the original data set, parcel one, or the mean of parcel one, just patches?
I would get that. So with this particular question, get the mean of the, what is this? What was the question? You need to be getting, this is actually a very good question. This needs to be the original data set. That is a very good catch. All right. All right, let me see here. It is take home. I'm going to aim for it to take 2 hours the most. You should have at least a couple days to do it. You can use your notes and Stack Overflow. No collaboration with colleagues. Yeah, I'll give it. So let's say here. So I think I should give it. Yeah. I should have it out to you by like Tuesday morning, like during your class time, and then it would like basically be due before we had class on Thursday. Yep, it'll be exactly like the homeworks. So you'll write your answer on the R script, and then you'll upload the R script to the Moodle assignment portal. No, it's a great question. You're not coming to class on Tuesday. You're taking your exam. That would be super mean. Like give you an exam and then have you like have to learn other content. All right, let me put this on there. Do not come to class on Tuesday. Take your exam. What's the date? I don't know. What's the Tuesday date? That is the 20th. So we're going to have sections that are essentially going to follow the big broad strokes, the concepts. You're going to warm up with some notation. We're going to work on like indexing, selecting things, summarizing. It's just going to be a variation of all the homeworks you've done. I have one more exercise left to grade, which is export. I chose to grade number 4 because I figured you guys were going to need more questions because you seemed pretty chill about the exporting part. So I'll just try to get that done so that you know what your homework grade is. But most of you are doing very well. So. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to potentially load a library in to use some functions. Yeah, there's not gonna be nothing new. Yeah. Yes, put that like on the top, because when I need to correct it, I'm gonna have to know what libraries to load. And otherwise I'm like searching on I'm searching on Google for like what function this, if you decide to use some sort of strange function, it's most helpful. Yeah. So good practices actually is like if you are using several different libraries, just instead of having them buried in the script, which we have been doing because it's class, when you're actually writing it, a good practice is just at the very top of your script to have a section called libraries. And then you just write all the ones that you're going to use that, you know, if you end up like in the middle of your text of your exam, you got to use tidyverse, put it at the top here, right? Or you got to use data table at another point, you know, you put at the top here. So when someone comes in to read their script, they just load all the libraries first off. And they're not trying to find it. Okay. How are you guys feeling? You've had newbies to R. Do you feel overwhelmed? Confident? All right, raise your hand if you feel more confident than when you started this class. All right. All right, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, if you're worried or anxious about it, come visit me in office hours. We can go over stuff. It's okay. Who here has tried to use R outside the classroom? Good job. All right. What have you been using R for?
Just in the past, yeah, I used it for my thesis.
Have you been using it now for anything?
Not right now.
Okay. That's fair. What about you, gentlemen in the back of the class? Is it, I forgive me for your name. Is it just okay? Yeah, you have a really cool last name.
Very long.
It is quite long.
I've been using that like in the past as well.
Okay. Okay. So practice is good. So in your regular research, everyday lives, if there are things that you are trying to do, like math and Excel or like summarizing things or what have you, you can do it in Excel. So beyond data entry, do it in R. Just practice. Yeah. So you're going to find yourself using R for really different things. Who here got picked for snack crew? Yeah. I use the sample function to do a lottery pool. Imported that class list and sampled it. So, okay. All right, well, we do have a few minutes. I don't want to throw you guys out, but if you guys are good, we can close class. It's up to you. All right, class is closed. Good luck on your test. No class on Tuesday. Okay. Yeah. Names. Yeah, it looks like this. It's just names and then the name, the data frame object name. So like we wanted names of our little fish. It's names F. Yeah.